Hollywood has lost a true legend. Today, we're going to take a look back and celebrate the absolutely incredible century-long life of June Lockhart.
I mean, a full century. For that entire time, she was this constant presence on our screens, and she really came to define a very specific kind of character for, generations of us.
But here's the thing. Her story is just so much richer than only those iconic roles she played. So let's dive in and really explore the life of the woman who managed to define motherhood for two completely different generations.
Okay, so let's start with the recent news of her passing. It's really a moment to pause and reflect on a career that spanned, almost the entire history of film and television itself.
She passed away from natural causes at her home in Santa Monica, surrounded by her daughter June Elizabeth and her granddaughter Christiana. And what a legacy she leaves behind, one that touched millions and millions of people all across the globe. She was born into a family of performers, so her journey into acting started practically from day one. She had a front row seat to the entire industry from early childhood. And her talent? It was just undeniable right from the very start. Get this, she made her stage debut at only 8 years old. By 1938, she's on the big screen, and she's literally playing the daughter to her real-life actor parents. And then, just a decade later, bam, she's a Tony Award winner. This wasn't just a job for her, you can tell it was a real calling. So then, in the late 1950s, she takes on the role that would truly make her a household name all across America. This is the one that really cemented her image in the hearts of millions.
Playing Ruth Martin, she basically became the quintessential TV mom of that whole era. For 6 years straight, she was this symbol of warmth, of stability, that kind of quiet strength you'd imagine in the American heartland.
And look, she didn't just play the part, she completely defined it. She actually took over the role from another great actress, Cloris Leachman, but she made it totally her own. And it showed. 2 Emmy nominations across more than 200 episodes, and that warmth you saw on screen, that was real. Her bond with John Provis, the kid who played Timmy, well, that became a friendship that lasted her entire life.
But then, get this, just 1 year after leaving that idyllic farm, she completely switches gears. She trades it all in for the final frontier and takes on her next role, which is arguably just as iconic. So from 65 to 68, she becomes Dr. Maureen Robinson on Lost in Space. Just think about that shift. You go from the heartland mom to a brilliant, pioneering scientist leading her family through the cosmos. It was such a remarkable pivot, and it just showed her incredible range.
And Lockhart herself really captured the different impact these two huge shows had. She said, while Lassie was obviously beloved, Lost in Space was, it was aspirational. She often told this story about how fans would come up to her and say the show actually inspired them to become scientists and explorers.
So even though Lassie and Lost in Space were these massive hits that defined her fame for 2 different decades, they were really only a tiny fraction of her incredible body of work. Her output was just prolific. We're talking over 150 film and television credits. That meant she was this constant, reliable, and always welcome presence on our screens for pretty much her entire life. And her range was just amazing. Look at this list, from classic sitcoms like Petticoat Junction and Full House, all the way to dramas like Magnum P.I. and even Grey's Anatomy. She worked steadily for almost 80 years, and she showed off her versatility in every single role she took.
So all this brings us to a really key question, right? It's about the person behind that public image, the one she so carefully crafted on screen.
Well, as it turns out, the real June Lockhart was way more adventurous and dynamic than any of her on-screen characters. In fact, she often insisted she was absolutely nothing like the women she played.
She was a genuine adventurer. She drove army tanks, she flew in motorless gliders, she loved going to rock concerts. On top of that, she was this passionate journalism enthusiast who held a White House press pass for 47 years. And get this, NASA even honored her with their Exceptional Public Achievement Medal for promoting space exploration. So no, this was not the gentle TV mom. This was a woman who lived her life to the absolute fullest.
And according to her family, that passion for the world it never faded. She stayed sharp, she stayed engaged right up until the very end. It's just such a perfect testament to her intensely curious spirit.
So, when you look at the whole picture, June Lockhart wasn't just a star. She was this incredibly dynamic, multifaceted woman who lived a truly full century, and she embraced every single moment with passion and intellect. And her career leaves us with this really fascinating question. How did one single actor manage to represent the ideal mother for two completely different and in some ways totally opposing eras? First, she was the perfect mom for the stable, rural 1950s, and then boom, she's the perfect mom for the ambitious, futuristic 1960s. It's just a powerful reminder of how our cultural ideals can shift and how a truly great performer, well, they don't just adapt to those changes, they help define them for all of us.